Hello, my dears. Welcome to the Spicy Stories channel, where you will find several spicy stories. I want to share with you a story that happened to me. Stay until the end of the video because you will learn everything about my story that I had never told before. But I plucked up the courage, and I want to invite you at the end. I am already happy to see you here. So let's go. My name is Emily, and until that day, my life had been going smoothly. I lived in a simple apartment in Portland, Oregon, and worked as an assistant at a small art gallery. It wasn't a dream job, but it allowed me to live with some stability, which was already good enough. Like most people my age, I had my moments of frustration, especially because I couldn't leave the house much. I was kind of stuck in a routine. The little things that made me most happy were the little things, like a good book or a night on the couch watching old movies. But that afternoon, something unexpected would change my life. It was a Tuesday, and I had ordered my dinner online, a pepperoni pizza with a bottle of wine. I always ordered these types of food when I was alone and wanted something simple to relax. I never thought this would be the moment that would change everything. The delivery man arrived a little later than expected. When he came into my field of vision, I was struck by something I couldn't put into words. He was handsome in a simple but irresistible way. He had light brown hair, cut in a way that seemed unpretentiously elegant, and his eyes were a deep green with an intensity that made me think he was looking straight into my soul. He gave me a shy smile as he handed me the pizza. "Here's your pizza, Emily. Just $15 more if you can," he said, his voice deep and soft at the same time. Something made me look at him more closely. His name was Ryan, and the fact that he called me by my name caught me off guard. I hadn't asked for my name, but the label on the bag probably gave that away. However, his way of calling me seemed more personal, more intimate. "Thanks," I replied, a little awkwardly, trying not to stare at him for too long. He looked at me for a moment, and it seemed like he was about to say something. What made me even more nervous was the glint in his eyes, as if he was reflecting the same surprise I felt. Well, I hope the pizza is good." He smiled again, once again with that shy smile, but now I could feel something more, an inexplicable chemistry. I paid the bill, still trying to hide how nervous I was. But before he left, Ryan hesitated a little, and then said, I saw you have an art book on your desk. I love art." He pointed to the book on my coffee table, and I smiled back, relieved that he'd mentioned something so innocent. "It's one of my favorites," he said, his voice calmer now. "I work at an art gallery." "Really? That's cool. I've always wanted to learn more about art, but I've never found the time," Ryan said, almost apologetically. He seemed genuinely interested. I was surprised at the direction the conversation was taking, considering he was basically a delivery guy. After that first meeting, Ryan started showing up more often. It wasn't just a matter of coincidence or luck. I'd start ordering more deliveries, and he'd almost always be at the door to deliver something to me. Sometimes a pizza, other times a simple coffee or dessert, and each time our conversations would get longer, more intimate. It was as if, without meaning to, we had made a silent connection, a mutual understanding that something was beginning to grow between us. The Friday after our first date, I ordered another pizza, and this time I decided to do something I'd never done before. Put a little note on the order. "Hi, Ryan. I hope you still remember me, Emily." When he arrived, his eyes lit up when he read the note. He looked as surprised as I had at first, and it was as if the tension between us had increased in a palpable way. I knew he felt something too, but neither of us seemed willing to make the first move. Until that night. The night was warmer than usual, and I was feeling strangely nervous. My phone vibrated. It was a text from Ryan. "I'm at the door, Emily. Are you home?" I couldn't help but smile. He always asked that, as if he was worried about whether I was busy or not at home. I walked down to the door and opened it, my heart pounding. He was there, as always, with that expression of someone who was in a hurry, but also wanted to stay. His eyes met mine, and for a second, the world around us stopped. "Hi, Emily." His voice was a little lower than usual. "Hi, Ryan," I said, almost in a whisper. We looked at each other for a few more seconds, until something changed in the air, something we could no longer ignore. He took a step towards me, and without another word, I felt his lips touch mine. It was soft at first, hesitant, as if he was also waiting for me to stop him. But I didn't stop. On the contrary, I pulled him closer, as if my soul already knew what my body wanted before I even realized it. That kiss was the beginning of something new, something we hadn't expected, but that was destined to happen. As we pulled away, our eyes met again, and I saw the same desire I felt in Ryan's eyes. And he didn't hesitate. "Emily, Ryan began, but couldn't finish the sentence. We kissed again, this time with more intensity, as if the world around us had disappeared. And that night, it was as if time had stopped. I didn't know where this would lead us, but I knew without a doubt that my life had just changed. The next morning, waking up was hard. The night before was fresh in my memory. The kiss, the feeling of closeness, and the fact that somehow Ryan and I had crossed a line. Even though I knew it wasn't something that was supposed to happen so quickly, whatever it was, it felt right. I was lying in bed, the sun streaming through the window and illuminating the room softly. My thoughts were all over the place, and I felt a little dizzy. Was I doing something crazy? I had never gotten involved with someone so quickly, especially someone who wasn't part of my usual social circle. Before I could get too lost in my thoughts, my phone vibrated. It was a text from Ryan. "Hi, Emily. I hope you slept well. I also wanted to thank you for last night. It made me see things in a different way." My heart raced. It wasn't a text full of formalities. It was simple and direct, and yet it carried a weight that I couldn't ignore. "I really liked it too, Ryan. It was unexpected but perfect. I'm a little confused, actually." His reply came quickly. "I know. Me too. Maybe we can talk later? I feel like I need more time to figure out everything that happened between us." I took a deep breath and sent the text. I didn't know exactly what I wanted, but I felt like I needed to find out more about him, about us. A few days passed since that night. Ryan and I kept in touch, but in a more subdued way. Sometimes he would come by to deliver my food, always with a smile and a brief exchange of words. Other times, we would exchange messages, but nothing too deep. I knew he was processing what had happened, and I was also trying to understand what it meant to me. That Saturday, he texted me, asking to meet at a coffee shop near my apartment. I hesitated for a moment, but something inside me knew this conversation needed to happen. I arrived at the cafe a few minutes before Ryan. The place was charming, small, with a decor that mixed modern and vintage. I felt comfortable there, and soon after he came in, with that shy smile that always made me more nervous than I would like to admit. "Hi, Emily," he said when he saw me. His smile widened even more when he saw me sitting down, and I felt a warmth in my chest. It was as if, for a moment, everything made sense. "Hi, Ryan." I smiled back, feeling a mix of nervousness and anticipation. "Sit down." He sat down in front of me, and for a second we just stared at each other. It was a comfortable kind of silence, but I knew I needed to say something, anything, to break it. "I know things between us are kind of confusing," I began, feeling more vulnerable than I would have liked. "I don't know what I'm doing, but I can't stop thinking about you. I didn't want it to be like this, so fast, but I feel like there's something here. Something I can't ignore." Ryan leaned forward a little, and I could see a gleam in his eyes, as if he was sharing the same feeling. "I feel the same way too." He took a deep breath, and I could see he was trying to find the right words. "I'm just a delivery guy, Emily. I don't have anything else. My life isn't exactly glamorous, and honestly, I don't know what you're expecting from me." I knew he was being honest, and his insecurity touched me in a way I couldn't explain. I didn't care what he did or didn't do. What I saw in him was someone genuine, someone who was trying to figure out his own life, like me. "Ryan," I began, looking at him sincerely, "I don't care what you do. I just want to get to know you better. I want to see where this goes. Can we take it one step at a time? Take our time?" He smiled, and that was the answer I needed to hear. "I want that too, Emily." He relaxed a little, and the tension between us seemed to ease. "Let's see where this takes us then." From that moment on, we started spending more time together. Sometimes he would invite me to go out after work. One time we went to the movies, another time we had a picnic in the park. It was simple, but it was genuine, and that made all the difference. Little by little, I began to learn more about Ryan. He had grown up in a small town, and the life of a delivery man was a way to make a living while he tried to find direction for the future. He had bigger dreams, but for some reason, it seemed like he was stuck in a rut that he didn't know how to get out of. We talked about everything: what we liked to do in our free time, about our families, and even about our fears. For example, I have always had a deep fear of getting attached to someone and being left behind. Because of this, I have always been cautious in my relationships. But with Ryan, it seemed like that didn't matter. He was willing to open up, and I was willing to give it a chance. And over time, the chemistry between us only grew. I knew I could no longer ignore what was happening between us. Ryan was not just the delivery guy. He was someone with whom I shared laughs, deep conversations, and even moments of vulnerability. I was falling for him, and it was inevitable. One night, he invited me to dinner at his house. I accepted, and soon after we arrived, Ryan prepared me a simple but delicious dish. We sat together, laughing and talking about trivial things, but at the same time, there was a tension in the air, something that connected us in a unique way. After dinner, he approached me, and there was no need for words. The connection between us was so strong that it was natural for us to kiss again. But this time, the kiss was more intense, more full of meaning. It was the moment when we finally knew we were ready to give ourselves to each other, body and soul. And that night, something changed. I knew our relationship was just beginning, but I already felt that whatever it was, I was willing to live it, to explore everything that Ryan and I could be together. That night with Ryan was a milestone, but at the same time, an avalanche of feelings that I didn't know how to process. The next day, I returned to my apartment, still with the taste of his kiss on my lips and the feeling of being in a very different place than I expected. Ryan and I were no longer just two people who met by chance. We were something more. But what did that mean for the future? As I was getting ready for work that morning, my phone vibrated. It was a message from him. "I don't want to scare you, Emily, but I think we need to talk about what we're doing. I care about you a lot, but I'm a simple guy. My life isn't easy, and sometimes I feel lost." I stared at the screen of my phone, my heart beating faster. I knew he was being honest, but it also made me question where exactly we were both headed. I cared about him too, more than I wanted to admit, and I was afraid he would feel trapped by something he couldn't control. I didn't want to lose that. I knew we had something special, something that transcended convention, but I needed him to know that it wasn't about him being perfect. It was about the two of us. "Ryan, I understand your fears. I have mine too. I'm afraid you'll think I'm looking for something ideal, but what I really want is you. Just you. I don't care where this leads. Just don't leave me out of fear, okay?" I sent the message and felt relieved. Deep down, I knew this would be an important step. He needed to understand that I was willing to live in the present and face challenges honestly, with him by my side. His reply came quickly. "I'm afraid too, Emily, but I think that's good in a way. It means we really care about each other." I smiled, feeling like we were finally starting to understand where we fit in. Ryan didn't have a fairy tale life, and neither did I. But maybe, just maybe, we could create something unique together. It didn't have to be perfect, it just had to be real. We met up more and more, and our meetings became a space where we could be ourselves. Without masks, without pressure. Sometimes we would go for walks through the streets of Portland, stopping at small bookstores or having coffee in some cozy corner of the city. What mattered was the time we spent together, sharing our experiences and discoveries. Ryan began to tell me more about his past, his aspirations. He told me about the struggle to find his way and how delivering pizzas was for him a temporary way to make a living. But he always felt like he could do more. He wanted to study more, maybe start his own business, but he felt stuck. I supported him, always encouraging him not to give up on his dreams, because I saw in him someone who had much more potential than he gave himself credit for. And I knew that together we could face life's obstacles, even if imperfectly. Months passed, and our relationship evolved. The relationship that began as a simple chance encounter grew into something solid, even with the challenges that arose from time to time. Communication between us was the basis for everything, and the small gestures of affection, like holding each other's hands while watching a movie or sharing a smile during a home-cooked dinner, became the things we valued most. One afternoon, as we sat on the couch in my apartment, Ryan looked at me with a different expression, almost as if he were about to say something important. "Emily, I've been thinking a lot about us, about the future. I know our story didn't start in a traditional way, and many people would say it happened too quickly, but I feel like I've found something real in you, something I don't want to lose. I love you." Those words took me by surprise, but at the same time, I knew he was telling the truth. I already loved him, but hearing that from Ryan in his soft voice made me feel a wave of emotions that I couldn't control. I took a deep breath, feeling like the world around us seemed to disappear. "I love you too, Ryan. And maybe we started out in an unexpected way, but I think that's what makes it so special. It doesn't matter how we started. What matters is where we are now, and where we're going from here." He smiled and, without saying anything else, pulled me into a tight hug. I felt like we had finally found something deep, something true. And despite our fears and insecurities, we knew that together we could face anything. The following month, Ryan started making plans to go back to school and get a degree in something that really motivated him. He was searching for a new path, and I was by his side every step of the way. His support for my own dreams also grew, and together we made plans to travel, explore the world, see what else life had to offer. The relationship between us grew, and the trust we built made the uncertainties of our origins, of how we met, disappear. We became partners in every sense. A year later, on a quiet night, Ryan knelt before me with a shy but sincere smile. "Emily, do you want to spend the rest of your life with me? I want to be your support, your home, your love. We will face everything together." The words that came out of my mouth were simple, but true. "Yes, Ryan, I want to spend the rest of my life with you." Time passed, and everything that started with a simple pizza delivery turned into something stronger, deeper than we could have imagined. The love we grew together was not without its challenges, but with the mutual commitment and trust built over the months, we knew that no matter what life brought us, we could face it all together. The story of how we fell in love was unique, but now it was just the beginning. And with Ryan by my side, I knew our future would be as bright as the days when we decided to take that first step on that night that changed everything. I'm glad you made it this far. Now I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to receive all of our videos. Like, share, and leave in the comments what you thought of my story. I promise I'll read and like your comment. I'll stop here and see you in the next video, okay? See you then.